Welcome, everybody, to the Competition Archery Media Podcast, where we explore all things pertaining to competition archery. Our CAM podcast is brought to you by B3 Archery. I'm PJ Riley, sitting with Josh Grine, and with us today, fresh off his first ever win in the ASA Pro class, Brady Hempen. Brady, how you doing today?
Good. How are y'all?
How does that, we should say known pro, that's the division
I'm
you
good,
compete
Brady.
in.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Known pro, first win ever. We were talking about that, you're very often, you're right there. And then boom, you won in Minden, Louisiana. How does that feel? How did that sink in? What was the couple days afterwards like for you?
At the time, I didn't know what happened. I went out there, I shot the best arrows I could. A lot of them landed, and I knew if I hit a 14 on the last target, it was a good chance I won. And I squeaked out a win. It was just in shock, to be honest. But yeah, I've been there several times. I know what close feels like, and to be able to finally win, it was just a crazy feeling. And it took a couple days to sink in. It was a lot of emotions. I mean, there's a lot of work that went into this. I've always shot every day trying to just have that one moment to finally happen, and it finally did. So pretty neat. Very neat.
Was that your first win in a pro class period?
No, sir. I've won some smaller pro tournaments. There's a couple shoots that have been Wabash, Indiana. They
Okay.
had it's kind of like the Reading style
Yeah.
shoot. I've won that 2 years in a row. The Hoosier 690 this year for indoor.
That's right.
But yeah, this is my first major win.
Yeah, you had one of the best reactions, when you hit that 14. A lot of archers, we always talk about that, just kind of, you don't know what they shot based on the reaction, but you hit that thing and gave us the reaction. But you had your work cut out for you. I just did the rewind on your division, and I was talking about you came in 8 points back. So in known pro, that's a big gap for the final 5 targets. And I mean, you did your part. What was that? What was your mindset going in?
Well, I've got plenty of seconds, thirds, fourth, and fifth. So every single time I'm in a shoot off, I am going for first. So I knew I had to hit a lot of bonus rings. So I can't be scared, and just went for a bunch of 14s, and luckily they landed.
Yeah. What was the last one like? Because like you said, that was the one you needed. I think if you had a 12, it wasn't really going to do anything for you. Mm-hmm. You had to have the 14. What was your mindset? What did it feel like? What did the pressure feel like?
To be completely honest, it felt that was my most calm shot. I just saw Kyle smash it. I had a good spot to aim at, and I just was confident. It's kind of like my nerves kind of settled down throughout the first 5 targets that we just had. And I was like, just hit it. That's all you got to do. Put the pin in the middle and just make a good, strong shot, and it'll hit. And as soon as it fired, I remember my pin going right to Kyle's arrow hole, and it went just a fuzz under it, which would have put it right in the middle, and it fired perfect. And I knew before it hit the target, you can probably rewind it. I said, yep, as soon as it fired. And I think I heard Robert Householder, he was kind of like my coach in the coaching box or whatever, and he said, yep. And I was like, oh my gosh, it hit. And I was just like so excited. And just a bunch of emotions just came out. So yeah, that was a pretty cool shot. It really held still for that. And my release timing was absolutely perfect. So I just knew it was just going to hit.
That was the one. So then, Lawson still had to shoot after that. Would you say the emotional release was bigger on you hitting the 14 or on him shooting the 8?
When I saw his arrow go slide high, it was just, I had so many emotions. I don't even really know how to describe it. It was just I was upset for him to miss one, because I watched him shoot all weekend, and he was just smashing all weekend long. Yeah. It didn't matter how far it was. He was going to hit a 12. And then for him to miss up on the last arrow, the 46th arrow, he had a lead for 45 arrows, and everything changed in one shot. So it was kind of I can't believe that happened. But it's for me, I was like, oh my gosh, it just happened. I won. And then, but for him, I'm he shot his butt off all weekend, And for that one shot to like mess up his whole weekend, I was just like, oh my gosh. So it was just, I don't know, it was a lot of thoughts going through my mind because, I mean, Lawson shot phenomenal, like I said.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that was, I think I mentioned in the broadcast, you want to shoot it to win. You did what you had to do. And then Lawson, it just didn't go his way. That's just the way the game's played. I mean, yeah.
Yep.
How about the weekend? So I think you went in at, were you at 40 up? 40
Yes,
up. I think you went into the shoot down. So with the 60-yard max, 40 up, that's a pretty good score. How were you feeling through the weekend rounds?
Yeah, my goal is probably 20 up each day, realistically, because, I mean, the courses are now, they used to be 46-yard averages, I would say. Now it's like 51, 52-yard averages. So, I mean, it's a lot harder to hit those at longer distances. So my goal in K50, or I meant known pro when it was 50-yard max, my goal was always 24 up a day, 24, 26, 28 up. That's my goal. So I had to bump it down a couple points, but my goal every weekend is to be about 40 up, because that would make a shoot off every single time in these past 3 tournaments we've had. So
yeah,
that's my goal pretty much, is to be 20 up each day.
Yeah, and those courses, Scott Parrott told me on the course you shot the first day, he said he knew that through 14 targets, his average was 52.
Yeah, it was stretched. It was the furthest range I've ever shot in my life. So, yeah, it was a really good one.
And I know for a fact that you had a 61-yard coyote.
Yeah, I believe both of y'all watched me shoot it.
We did.
That's right. I think your group made it look so simple too. That's right.
Because I remember watching Brady. He just smashed it.
Yeah. I think your group had 2 12s and 2 guys 10s, but just under the 12. Yeah. I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to hit this. Of course, me and Kyle both shot 5s in our video, but yeah, your group had to be the one I stopped, and you guys made it look like it was nothing.
Brady, what arrows are you shooting?
I'm shooting the Black Eagle PS 23s.
Now, is that a change? Were you shooting 27s and then went to 23s for 60, or have you always been shooting the 23s?
I've always shot the 23s.
All right. Do you know what they weigh?
I think right at 400 grains.
Okay. I just remember watching them fly.
Yes, the arc.
Yeah, I'm shooting about 277 feet per second, so not very fast.
Yeah.
So what are you looking for in that setup? Like, obviously, if you can go up to 293, I think it is, with the little wiggle room there, and speed gives you a little bit of cushion, especially at distance, but obviously that doesn't bother you.
No, not really. I just try to find a bow that loves to group. That's all I want to find. So if it's fast, good deal. If it's slow, good deal. It don't matter. We're known distance, so just make a strong shot and it should hit.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the bow that you love to shoot this year.
Exactly.
Well, what bow are you shooting this year?
I'm shooting the PSE Dominator Duo 38, the new one.
So, yeah, Nathan Brooks said, I guess he had talked to you, because he said that it was like, you didn't have a bow contract, and he said that, I guess he said to you, or you told him, that you just wanted a bow that you felt like you could win with.
Yep.
That was the bow.
Yes, sir.
So for you, what does that look like being a pro archer? PSE is kind of in I don't know what their state of flux is. They have some pro shooters, but it's not what it was, not as big. What does that look like for you? Obviously, you didn't care, or did you have other options? How did that work for you this year?
I had a couple options, but me and my dad have talked about it. Like, if I ever sign a contract with someone, it's because I truly believe in them. And I just don't want to sign something to just get free product or a little bit of money here and there to help me get to the shoots. It does help, but my number one goal is to win. Like, I want to win. I've struggled with bows in the past, and it's miserable. It is absolutely miserable, because I'm holding myself back because I signed a contract with something, and I could possibly be shooting a different bow or a different setup or whatever, and I could actually compete at the highest level, like how I know I'm supposed to. But last year I've shot Hoyt pretty much my whole life. And then last year I signed with PSC, and half the season I kind of struggled a little bit with the M2 cam. I thought it was the faster, more aggressive cam, keep you more honest in the shot. And for me, it wasn't the best. I still shot it pretty good. I'd be probably 6 points, 8 points right under the board, nothing crazy bad, but not where I needed to be. And then half the season went by, and I was like, you know what? I'll just try the SE2 cam, which is their more easier cam, I would say, to shoot. Cam. Yeah, it's phenomenal. But I went to that, shot it for 2 weeks, and then shot it every day for 2 weeks, like hundreds of arrows, just trying to get used to it, blank bailing a lot, making sure my release timing was perfect. And then I went to the Indiana trail shoot. It's kind of like the Reading of the East. So I love that shoot. I wish I can go to Reading, but I just finished up my college finals, so I couldn't really make it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I went there. I shot my butt off there and won that tournament. I was like, okay, this cam and bow's like feeling good. And then the next week I went to Metropolis, made the shoot off, and then I got 5th there. But it was a good confidence booster going into the rest of the season. I think I was like 2 points from Coleman shoot off. So that was just me. I hit a couple 8s that were just dumb. And then this year, I hardly shot indoor like practice. And I went to the Hoosier 690 and won it. I was like, dang, this bow's just like a shooter. I just love this bow.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of close to a couple more shoot-offs with it. And then this weekend, or that past weekend in Louisiana, I was shooting the Dominator Duo X, the same bow, really, just this year's model. And yeah, that SE2 cam just feels amazing, and it just seems to hit better and more forgiving than M2 for me.
I've heard Rob Caulfield talk to pros before and say, before you sign something, make sure it's a bow or whatever gear that you can win with. And that's what Nathan mentioned. He had said that you could shoot that bow.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, who knows? Maybe PSE will get, deeper into an ASA team. I know Lonnie Workman had said he hopes to do that in the future. But yeah, it obviously worked for you. How long you've been shooting in Known Pro? How long?
I believe this is my 7th year.
Okay. You started with it when it went from K50 to Known Pro, didn't you?
It was the first year that it was called Known Pro.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
What'd you do? Start shooting Known Pro when you were 11?
17. I was 17 turning 18.
You're 24 now, 25?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
24.
gotcha. Yeah, that's so. Well, I'll ask you. And I think Nathan asked you. Does it feel like more of a relief or a monkey off your back being so close so many times?
Oh, it's definitely a relief. And it's like, finally, I know I can do it now. So it's like, just keep doing it. That's what my mind's kind of telling me. Like, oh, you just proved it to yourself. That's what you had to do. In my mind, I had to prove it to myself. And now it's like, I feel like I'm going to be able to do it more often now.
Right.
Maybe not every time, but more often. I think I could get more shoot-offs and stuff.
It's the class you're in is the deepest in terms of pros. There's 20 at least solid guys who could win every weekend. It's not like some of the others where it's, there's a couple you expect to win, but yours, it's wide open.
That is true.
So the competition's there. So okay. You're 24 years old or 25. Did you say? I forgot already.
24.
24. And you just finished college where did you go and what was your degree in?
Murray State University. I just got my bachelor's degree in business administration, but I plan on trying to get my MBA. And that's the main goal after that. So I still got 2 more years left.
Okay. What do you hope to do? What's your idea for a future?
I would love to be able to work in the archery industry somewhere, somehow, and maybe be like a product manager for a company. That'd be a goal of mine.
Gotcha. And now while you were in school, you just finished your finals, but you were working, I believe you said?
Yeah.
Like
Yes, sir.
full-time, part-time? How did that work with your school?
It's been part-time with my dad. My dad is full-time. He works for a successful guy around here and manages all sorts of hunting properties, and I'm able to do a lot of that. So things I love to do outdoors, and it allows me to keep shooting and going to college and trying to better myself.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm always curious how people like yourselves work these professional tournaments into. But if you're working for your dad, I'm guessing you have an understanding boss.
Sometimes.
I don't know. I've talked to his dad.
Sometimes I like that. Yeah. So as you mentioned, you think you can do this more regularly now. Now that you're finished with that part of schooling, does your archery change going forward? You said you would like to do Reading. Are there more tournaments you want to do? What's archery like now going forward?
Oh, for sure. Like, I would love to be able to go to as many tournaments as possible, but I would love to at least have like a really good resume to possibly get a better contract in the future with the bow company that I believe in and want to shoot for and want to represent. And that would definitely help, offset some of the costs to be able to go do those. But yeah, I will always do ASAs. That's my bread and butter. That's what I grew up doing. I love ASAs and some indoors, as many as I can make it to. Yeah. But yeah, I would love to do more long distance stuff like Reading and like the Indiana Trail shoot, and even I want to play with some FIDA stuff. I've never really done that, or field. I know I would enjoy that, but that's a long way from Kentucky. Most of them are.
With the Olympics, are you thinking about that at all, or?
I haven't really thought much about that, but I think that would be pretty amazing if I could possibly be able to do something like that.
Yeah. You would think if you can shoot like you do out to 60 yards, that 50 meters at a big yellow dot that you can see.
Yeah. I've never even really shot that dot, to be honest, or that target, to be completely honest. So I picture it being like a long distance indoor.
Yeah, kind of. Just got some wind and things like that to contend with. So with archery being this big of a factor, and you said you would like to go into the industry, I'm guessing your dad got you into it. How young did you start competing? Like, when did archery become serious, more than just hunting? Yeah,
my dad was the one who got me into it. He got into archery about my age, 23, 24, and had me around that time. And he just wanted to become a better bow hunter. His dream was to be able to shoot big bucks and make good shots on them. And he had some target panic in the beginning, and he got with the guy that helped him get rid of that. And he went to all the local shoots that he possibly could, and he would take me. Ever since I was like 2 or 3 years old, I had a little bow, and I would go walk around on the ranges with him and his buddies, and they would all go shoot and have a big old time. And there was about 4 or 5 really well-known local shoots we had at the time. So they all disappeared, unfortunately. But I remember going to all those when I was a little kid, and just grew that passion in me. And that's where it all started. I went from junior eagle, senior eagle, middle school pins, known 40, known 45, known 50, and then known pro for the past 7 years. So I worked my way all the way up to where I've been able to get to.
Yeah, cool. That's what I like to hear. Folks who started out in ASA and just stayed with it all the way up. That's proof that it can be done.
Yes, sir.
Shot pro for 7 years?
Yes, sir.
Known pro. Is this the first year that you haven't had a contract?
Yes, sir.
So how has that, your first 6 years, always under contract, this year, not on a contract, how has that impacted you at shoots, how you view archery? Just talk a little bit about that.
It's been a lot more relaxing. I don't have any stress of like, I got to shoot a certain level to make this company happy. I don't want to get dropped, all sorts of things like that. So I'm just going out there having fun with my buddies, and we're going to just try to smash as many rings as possible, and whatever happens, happens. If a bow company wants to talk to me and possibly give me an offer, I'd love to hear it and definitely see what they have to say. And if I can shoot their product, then I'd be more than happy to shoot for them. But if I can't shoot the product, I don't really care how good the offer is.
So with those contracts you had early on, I'll say it's probably safe to assume that they weren't big money contracts early on in your career. So with what you know, having been a contracted shooter to not, was the money worth it? Or the free equipment early on? So
no, I will say though, a lot of, I've had issues with the equipment over the years, there's no doubt, but I've also had a lot of issues myself. So not everything was just the equipment, but there's some things I'm like, gosh, I can't believe I'm shooting this. I have to shoot this though, because I'm under contract, but I know there's issues. And then I've noticed I'm not the guy to tell people or go tell people like, hey, you need to buy this bow, you need to buy this sight, you need to buy this release because it's the best. Like I'll straight up tell them, like, this thing is not it. Do not get it. Stick with this. I just can't stand the people that have to say that because they signed a contract. So I'm not that guy. So I'm going to tell you how it is, and if it's junk or not, and what I've seen, or why I don't shoot it or why I do shoot the product. So I'm just tired of having to, do things like that. I just want to shoot what I believe in.
Right. And so it wasn't, you said it's probably wasn't worth the money or the free equipment early on to have those contracts. So what would you say? Because being at, and it doesn't matter if it's Vegas, an ASA, indoor nats, anywhere there's vendors, 9 out of 10 people that come to the vendors are, how do I get on contract?
Yeah.
I've stood there and watched it. I mean, everybody aspires to have a contract, and most of those contracts early on, they're not offsetting your bills. They're not helping. So what would you say to the amateur archer, the youth archer? What would your best advice be for continuing along a path to maybe being a professional archer or just a lifelong passion?
I would just say, just shoot what you believe in, try to build your resume and allow the companies to come to you. If you're that good, I promise you companies will come to you to sign you. You don't have to go to them.
So
just keep doing what you're doing and smash rings. That's it. That's all you got to do. Keep shooting good.
It's interesting because, Bodie Turner famously is not under contract with anybody. And this year already, we've seen him win with Hoyt and we've seen him win with Matthews.
Yeah.
And he said, it's like you were saying, he said it's kind of freeing for him to be able to play with whatever and see what gives him the best chance to win. I mean,
yes, sir.
If you can't win, it kind of seems like, what's the point?
Build your value first.
Yeah.
Right. Like make them come to you. And you, Brady, you hit on two things. Number one, winning, right? If you win, they're going to come to you. But I like what you said about the equipment itself too, because when we look at pro contracts in archery, you're getting paid from marketing departments. And so there's several layers to that, but two of the top ones being that you're successful. So you're getting the podium recognition, but also that you're out there selling their product. And so I think, like, to your point of, I want to shoot what I absolutely love. And then if I build my value, they're going to come ask. And then it makes it easy for me to fulfill the second part that they're looking for. And that is to be out there, help promoting their products. And archery's flipped that on the side. It's like, I'll promote whoever gives me a contract. And they like, you gave me a $20 shoelace, right, for free, just a hypothetical. And you're out there peddling it. And it's, I think a lot of times detrimental,
for sure.
It can take away from your success. So I applaud you for understanding that and being able to articulate it. And also I know that there are a lot of the young kids that look up to you and who you are becoming. I think you're a super positive person to move this forward and to bring young people up behind you. Great job.
Thank you.
I'm guessing that to you, like Josh was saying, there are folks who look for the contract and then, talk about winning second. I'm guessing for you, it's flipped.
For sure.
You just want to win.
That's all I want to do. I'm a very competitive person.
Talking to, I see, Dane Johnson, I see you shooting with a bunch of these guys. Tell me about that known pro group there. the top guys what that's like. Is it just like super competitive? You know, you guys are always butting heads, or y'all friends, or how does that work? I'm sure y'all want to beat each other, but.
Oh yeah, I want to beat everybody. But pretty much everybody in Known Pro I'm friends with. I get along with just about everybody. Like Dane Johnson, I grew up shooting with him for years. Jace Bowles, I shot for him or with him for years. Who else? There's a bunch of kids. You know, I call them kids because we grew up as kids, 23, 25-year-old people.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my group. I enjoy shooting with those guys. We always have a good time and give each other crap, and we always want to see each other do good, but we're always wanting to be number one.
Be the one. Yeah.
Very competitive.
So when you were coming up through the ranks in those lower classes, younger classes, were you envisioning someday, I mean, there wasn't a known distance pro class at that time, but were you thinking, whatever the biggest stage, that's where I want to be?
Oh, for sure. Once I took it serious, I actually took it pretty serious in middle school pins. That's when I started learning how to shoot a hinge release correctly. And I took it serious from then. And K40, I did pretty good. K45 did good. K50 was the year like, okay, like if they have a known pro class, like I definitely want to do it. I ended up winning out of all those. And then they luckily had a known pro class come up, and I was just happy that they did, because I planned on maybe even having to judge yardage, because I wanted to compete with Levi and Dan, because, I mean, they're some of the best in the world. And I did all this work to get there. It's like, well, I guess I still want to compete at the highest level. So I guess I'm going to have to switch over and learn how to judge yardage. But it's like my dad said, like, I've seen these targets my whole life, so it shouldn't be super hard to be able to judge yardage. I still have to practice it all the time, but
right.
I practice it quite a bit, even at the house, you know, judging distance. It doesn't hurt at all, just in case if your rangefinder dies when you're hunting or anything like that. So
sure. Yeah,
I know how to judge a little bit distance, but I should definitely put some more time into it if I were to ever go that route. But thank God they have Known Pro, so I don't have to.
What did you notice when they did extend the distance from 50 to 60? How did that affect your game, or did you change anything?
It made it better. I started hitting 50 to 60 yarders all the time. Like if I have one 50 to 60, I hit it. But we were joking around on day 2 and in the group, and I was like, I hope we don't have any at 35, because I'm probably going to be a 10. You know, I seem to miss the closer ones and then hit pretty much all the far ones. I guess I just don't over aim as much.
Yeah. In this at Minden, did you have any 8s that weekend?
I had 2 the first day, and I think I had 1, so three total.
Oh, okay. Because I think I saw, I think Lawson didn't shoot any, or he shot 1. I can't remember.
None. He shot incredible. Every single one was a 12 or a 10. He
12
shot
or
great.
10. Yeah.
Yep.
What's it take to do that? Because obviously you have the 10 ring is big. You can hit that whenever you want. What happens when you don't shoot at least a 10?
Whenever it happens, I'm like, gosh, dang it. Why did I do that? I'm a dummy. But I had 3 8s that weekend, and they were all really close to it. I had 2 of them really close to a 12, you know, a quarter inch off. That was just me going for them at 48, 50 yards, whatever it was. And I had one a little bit high and right. That was also me. But I mean, you're going to have an 8 or 2 every once in a while, especially when you're gunning for them at 50 and 60 yards. It's just going to happen. I've had some kickouts too over the years that's really, you know, killed my score. You know, you hit a 1 in the 12 and it kicks you into an 8. It's like you made a good shot, but it's an 8. It scores bad. So
8. Yeah, that's one you can't do anything about that. It hit the right spot, just didn't land in the right spot. Yeah. So are you now still 60 yards? Are you now still thinking, well, I'm going to try to go for this? Or are you saying, well, I don't need this one, I'm just going to go for 10?
No, I'm going for it. If it's open, I'm going for it. I'm going to try to be kind of smart. So if it's on the, you know, if I'm going lower, I'm going to aim on the 12 o'clock side, you know, and make a good shot, and it should catch. You know, even if I were to go a little low, it's going to hit the 12 or or lick the bottom line of it. So, or if I go upper, I'll aim on the 6 o'clock side. And if I go a little high, it should hit the top of the line or anywhere in that vicinity.
With your setup, are you able to see those rings, or it's just you just know where they are?
I don't see any rings. It could be 25 yards and I can't see a ring. I have pretty bad vision. Luckily, they make contacts for me. But yeah, I know all the targets. I have all the targets, and I know exactly where to aim on pretty much every single target, whether I'm first up or last. I love going off arrows too. So if I have an arrow off the 12 or whatever to the right or left, I can see that in my scope, and I'll just go according to wherever I need to aim, and I'll just make a shot and hopefully it hits.
Can't see any rings. Is it blurry for you as you're looking at it, or what do you see?
I'm running a 6-power lens with a 0.5 clarifier, so it's got the pin pretty clear, and the target's always been fuzzy. I've never been able to get it crystal clear, and I don't think I actually want it crystal clear because it would probably make me over-aim, and I don't want to over-aim. I want to put the pin where I know where it's supposed to be and just execute a strong shot, and it should hit close.
And so that, to me, sounds like that just comes from years of, as you said, you've been shooting those targets forever.
Yes, sir. But I mean, if there's some like arrow holes or a chewed up spot on the target, I'll be able to see that. Like, for example, in the shoot off, like that last target, I could see the arrow hole in the 14, but when I drew back, it was just a blur, but I knew where it was.
Right.
It's kind of hard to like tell y'all if you haven't been able to see what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Man, does that surprise you that you can, it sounds surprising to me that you can shoot that well, and as you describe it, you can't see.
Yeah. Sometimes, I don't know. I don't know what I feel like it's normal to me, but I guess everybody else gets to see rings. So maybe I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage.
What do you now? Is it different than when you're bow hunting because the lens is out of the picture?
Yeah, when I'm just putting it behind the shoulder and shooting a deer. That's really not a big deal.
Right.
While PJ still tries to wrap his brain around, you can hit something you can't see. I do want to switch gears a little bit, and
Go ahead.
I want to preface this with we're talking to Brady Hempen. He just won a national event. He is a non-contractual shooter. And so I want to deep dive into that because I already mentioned that there's marketing involved in shooter contracts. If I had to ask you, what do you think the premier platform is for people under 30? And I'm asking that question for a reason, because everybody's worried about the future at archery, getting the youth involved, and how do you get the younger generation involved? So 24 years old, what do you think under 30 is the platform to capture those people?
TikTok.
Great answer.
He didn't even hesitate.
No, and I knew he wouldn't. And TikTok, I mean, people in the video game world, they're streaming on it. All your pro athletes are on TikTok. A lot of the people just drafted at the NFL draft. TikTok pages, live streaming at TikTok, their parties. And so I had an assumption, and while you were asking questions, I just looked at some things. It's super interesting.
Okay.
So TikTok, number one platform for people under 30 years old. ASA, not on there.
Yeah.
So 0 followers.
Me neither.
NFA Archery, as far as I could tell, not on there, 0 followers. World Archery's on there, 25,700 followers. USA Archery's on there, 3,870 followers. Lancaster Archery Supply on TikTok. Great job, Hunter, Kyle, and everybody else in marketing. 33,400 followers.
Didn't even know we were on there.
Paige Pierce, probably the one that companies would say has some of the biggest presence on social media. 58,400 followers. Brady Hempen, non-contracted shooter. 83,600 followers.
83,000. Do you
I don't know how that happened.
do you put a lot of archery content on there?
It looks like almost all
not
archery.
a lot, but I just try to do some funny videos or unique videos. Just, I don't know, sometimes they go viral, sometimes they don't.
And do you do that just for fun?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I was trying to build a social media following, and yeah, and I enjoy doing some of the videos sometimes. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at it now, and there's like your videos are all pretty much around archery or hunting. What do you think? I mean, you said you enjoy doing it. What do you see as the value to the industry as a whole? And what I'm really getting at is you know, if I'm a pro shooter and I'm asking you like, Brady, how do I build a brand? How do I best represent what I'm doing? I'm curious on your thoughts because you have some success in what you're saying is probably the biggest platform for 30 and under.
I would say just try to be unique and different. I noticed the same thing you did. Not very many people in archery have a following that's big in TikTok, and that's probably the largest social media platform in the world. So I'm like, I don't know why like that one is not being pushed, because that's where most people are. So I ended up trying my best to have a pretty good following on TikTok, kind of different from everybody else. And like you said, like it's probably one of the most in archery. I don't know what Chris B has, or like you said, Paige. I don't know what they have, even if they have TikToks.
Well,
but
I looked at Paige.
I do know
she's got 58,000. So
oh, really?
You got her by like 30,000, almost 30,000.
Good deal. But yeah, I just think to be unique, and that was a way I felt like I could be a little bit different than everybody else than just having a regular old Facebook and Instagram. You know, everybody has that. So yeah, that's what I would try to do.
Facebook is for the old people like me. I thought Instagram. If someone were to ask me, I would say Instagram, but you're in the generation that's not it anymore.
It's probably second, or Snapchat. Snapchat's probably, it could be even first, but yeah, for a social media, you know, where all the videos and pictures and things, yeah, I would say TikTok's number one.
TikTok.
So what now you got quite a substantial following there. What benefits have you seen to that? Have you had people asking you questions about? Okay. So that hasn't like driven
I guess nobody cares.
It hasn't driven like people on TikTok not asking you questions or coming up to you like, so that's what I'm asking, not what benefit it has financially or in the archery industry. We by and large know we're missing the boat.
Yeah.
But you talk as an individual, what you have seen in interactions and engagements.
Yeah, a lot of kids, probably teenagers, they come up to me at a lot of the shoots and they're like, I saw your TikTok video. That was so cool. I can't believe you shot that turkey in the eye at 55 yards or whatever it was, just something crazy. Or I shot like over my phone one time. That was where it kind of all started. That one got like 400,000 likes or something. I don't even really keep up with it, but I had my phone right on this, right on my indoor target. And I was going to shoot right over my phone, like an eighth of an inch over it. And I was like, it's going to be really cool because you can see the arrow come in right at the camera. Yeah. And I did. And it shot like probably this far over my phone. And like that just went off and went crazy. And people start following me and going nuts for that. So I was like, okay, I can make some more content this way. So, but yeah, I've had a lot of kids come up to me at the ASAs and things like that, wanting to get pictures or autographs or things like that. So that's really neat on that side of the things. And yeah, they ended up following me and asking me questions on Instagram, Facebook, and I tried my best to help everybody out.
Well, I would say don't get discouraged that you haven't seen a return from the industry. Keep doing what you're doing, because as an industry as a whole, we need more shooters. Every pro athlete that we're looking at now, like they're building brands. You know, the Masters was on the other week, and I went down a rabbit hole and watched like 2 full days worth of Bryson DeChambeau YouTube videos, right? People are building a brand and it's benefiting their sports. So from the industry, I say, keep doing what you're doing. We'll catch up. We'll recognize the value in it. And
yes,
you're leading the way. So again, second time I've said it. Good job.
It's all us old guys that we're the ones, unfortunately, not me personally, but I'm an old guy, but who are driving the ship, and we should be listening to you because for us, the end is closer than it is for a guy like Brady. So yeah, if you want to keep something going, ask guys his age. Yeah. And
ask the guys who are doing it and doing it well. And clearly looking at the numbers Brady is. Have you thought about YouTube at all?
I actually have. I have a bunch of videos of me shooting all sorts of does and turkeys and things like that, and old mature bucks that my dad's videoed me. That's kind of what he does too. He videos for a living, and he's done that for years. I thought it'd be really neat to maybe tie that into my archery somehow. But I would like to get some from this season coming up. I'm going to have to shoot a lot of does and a lot of management side of things this year. We're picking up more property, so I'm going to have to manage a lot more property. So I think it'll be really neat. My goal is to probably shoot anywhere between 40 to 50 does with my bow this year. So that'll be a lot of content.
Jeez.
I think it would be really cool to have that.
We feel bad for you that you have to shoot all these deer, Brady.
Hold on, let's do something, because we get non-hunters that watch this, and I don't want you to get a bunch of hate. So what do you do with those 40 or 50 deer?
I donate pretty much every one of them. I try to keep 1 or 2 for myself, and then we donate every single one of them to families in need. So I love doing that. I'm actually there watching the families pick it up, and you can tell like how grateful and how appreciative they are of this. They're like, thank you so much. Like, I really do appreciate it. So it's like, it makes me want to go back out there and keep killing more and more does to help families.
So they're doing it for management reasons. All the meat's going to a really good cause. So calm down. Don't be sending Brady hate.
Somebody's going to do it. Like you said, you're managing these properties. Someone's going to manage it. Someone's going to shoot those does. I mean,
yes, sir.
That's what they want. That's what's going to happen. Do you and your dad, you mentioned turkeys that you hunt all these states. Do you guys in the fall travel around hunting to other states too?
My dad does quite a bit with his boss. They travel pretty much everywhere: Iowa, Illinois, Kentucky, Kansas, Oklahoma, Colorado. They travel as many places as possible, and I think they're about to go to Africa in a couple weeks or a month or whatever it is. But yeah, they do some really, really neat things. But I try to stay around here for now. I'm in Kentucky, and I'm going to go on an elk hunt this year. That'll be my first time elk hunting, so I'm really excited for that. Illinois, I love hunting Illinois. Kentucky, what else? Sometimes Tennessee, if I can break away. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now.
So I see comments a lot on social media about 3D archery, but you're shooting this target setup. 3D archery is supposed to be about practicing for hunting. For you, are they separate, or do you still see them as related? Hunting and what you do in known pro shooting target archery equipment?
No, I think it's completely different. The setups are completely different. I mean, I'm not trying to hit rings. I'm trying to hit the deer's heart or lungs. So it's a little bit bigger. I'm trying to, I'm not really over aiming. I don't have a lens. I got 5-pin slider sight instead of a single pin with a lens and clarifiers and things like that on my tournament stuff, and long stabilizers. So it's a lot different, I would say.
For you then, target archery, it just happens to be using a 3D target.
Yes, sir.
Just happens to be a deer or whatever.
Well, one of the things I hear people say that is yes, it's completely different, but it's helpful in the fact that, number one, I'm shooting under a lot of pressure. So it makes hunting a little easier.
Yep.
And because I've been used to shooting at dots, even though I'm not trying to hit a dot, I aim with much more intentionality on an animal. Aim small, miss small kind of thing. And those are the two things that I hear the most. Like, this is the value. And I think even if you have doesn't matter if you're shooting a competition bow or a hunting bow,
for sure,
the pressure of being on a line shooting against the best in the world or trying to fill your freezer, the pressure's there. So that's.
So another thing that I've noticed for me, I'm able to shoot a lot of deer every year. I do a lot of management, like I said. So like you said, no matter what, even if it's a doe, a mature buck, whatever, my heart starts pounding. It's the same process. It's the same shot that you have to make under that same pressure. So I'm able to do that a lot in the off season and shoot several deer, which is the same shake, same nerve, same pressure as it is about to win a tournament or in a shoot off. So I've been in that situation a lot of times. I know what it feels like, and I'm slowly getting better with that kind of pressure.
So does your bow hunting then, does it go the other way? Do you think some of your bow hunting helps you in your target shooting?
Maybe under pressure a little bit. Yes.
Yeah. Huh. Do you not feel that pressure when you're doing your qualification rounds, or is it only when it's in the finals?
Indoor, yes, I get nervous indoor. Everybody knows that about me. I'm a little nervous little guy in indoor, but 3D, no, not really. The qualification rounds, I'll get nervous about the first target, and then it will settle down, and 39 of the rest are pretty much fine.
So you're going for your master's in business. You're
Yes,
shooting
sir.
professional archery. You're shooting 40 plus does a year hunting. Does Brady Hempen do anything besides that?
Not really. That's kind of my life. Trying to set up the farms in the off season and shoot my bow as much as I can, and and go to college. That's my life so far. Been pretty easy life at the moment.
It's a busy time. Yeah. I didn't know if you were into other sports or follow any other sports or anything like that. Or
Yeah, I always when I was growing up, I wrestled all the time in school, and I did jiu-jitsu, judo, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. So I've done that ever since I was 7 years old, and I kind of let that take a back seat once I turned pro in archery, and that's really what my focus has been on. But yeah, I've done a lot of martial arts in the past.
I actually had a conversation with your dad. I think it was in Benning, and he's very happy with the choice to go to pro archery and not pro fighting. And watching you get your head, pounded on and used as a punching bag.
Oh, do you know the guy? There's one guy, he shoots in one of the senior classes who's like a multi-time world champion. I think it's jiu-jitsu.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a great video from Coleman.
Yes, he's standing right in front of me, and he says, PJ, standing right here, I could reach up and kick you right in the head just standing here. You're standing in front of me. And he drops down right in front of me and does a split. And this guy's in his 50s. I'm thinking, I would have died right there if I just tried to do this. In blue jeans. Yeah, I didn't know if you knew that. I can't remember his name, but.
No, I don't know that guy.
He's something else. Yeah. So you get your first win under your belt. We're halfway through the season. What does this do for you for the rest of the ASA season?
I think it just built a lot of confidence. I'm happy with everything with my bow. I haven't had to miss with nothing. I haven't had to come home and tinker with nothing. I shoot probably a round a day just to make sure. I have 20 targets at the house, and I change up all the distances, but I try to shoot a round a day, nothing too crazy, just to make sure like my muscles are in good shape and my process is down like how it's supposed to be. And then go out there and just shoot good solid shots and rounds. And if it's money, I'm just going to put it away and keep doing that every single day until the next tournament. But yeah, I feel like if it's this good now and everything's shooting so good, there's no reason to just burn down the bow and the strings for possibly something to happen to it. Just make sure everything's still flowing like how it's supposed to and just keep going to all the tournaments.
Do you need to shoot? So it sounds like you don't have to shoot like 100, 200 arrows every day.
Well, I actually do a lot of blank bailing because I'm a hinge shooter. I feel like that's really important to get the timing down right. With a thumb button, a lot of people punch. A lot of people can actually squeeze the trigger faster and make it go off. A hinge, I feel like your timing has to be perfect to compete at the highest level. If your timing's off for a second or two, you will not hit like how Kyle or Robert Householder does with a thumb button. Their timing's always perfect. They can get it to go off whenever they want. So I have to make sure that my release timing is perfect with a hinge to be able to compete with those guys. And blank bailing allows me to do that. And yeah, shooting 20, 30 shots a day on targets, reassuring that that's all I got to do once everything's right.
I don't know if I ever heard anybody explain it like that. That's pretty interesting to me. Because, Kyle famously says that he gave up the hinge because he was tired of the dip bangs, which is your timing being off.
Yes, sir.
Huh.
Have you had any coaching?
Yes, sir. A little bit. When I first started, a guy named James Malone helped me. He actually showed me how to shoot a hinge correctly, and I was probably 13, 14, probably 12. 13, somewhere in there at the time, and I learned how to shoot a hinge, and that's kind of what started everything go in the right direction for me. I was shooting a trigger release and punching the heck out of it and not having much of a process down. But when James helped me get my process and get me on the right track with a hinge, that's when everything started changing. After I did that, I went to George Riles for a little bit, and he helped me with my draw length a little bit. But that's pretty much all the coaching.
What would you say, what is your process with the hinge? What are you doing when you get to anchor?
Under pressure or just chilling at the house?
Let's go with under pressure.
Under pressure, I make sure like my front hand is really relaxed. I want my front hand to be really relaxed because that's the only thing connecting you to the bow. I relax my front arm and I hit the same anchor every time, and I just slowly apply. I let my index finger slide a little bit, just really, really slight, and which pulls these two back, and it gets the release to fire. I don't want to like pull hard against the back wad. I want to maintain the steady pressure, and that's how I get it to fire, by kind of relaxing my backhand, and it should hit.
You mentioned PSE, that M2 cam. That is the more aggressive of the three cams there. So how have you set up the SE2 to account for that? Because it sounds like you like aggressive.
Yeah. The M2 will pull you through the riser. That's how aggressive that one is.
Yes.
But the SE2, I have it in the 70%, and I'm right at 19 and a half pounds of holding weight. But it's a lot easier to shoot than the 19 and a half pounds of holding weight on the M2. I don't know the difference. Maybe the cam just pull harder. I don't know. But yeah, I have it it feels like a softer 19 and a half pounds of holding weight. And it allows me to like hit my anchor the same way and to relax off the back wall the same way. And it's very consistent for me.
Yeah, I know George Riles likes to teach the relaxing your finger versus pulling harder, increasing the tension. And it's funny because you're friends with Robert Householder, who famously says he wants to like break the bow in half with how hard he pulls.
I don't know how he can do that.
He shoots a thumb button, we should mention, which is different. Yeah.
They also have a lot more weight than I do. I have 9 ounces up front and 18 on the back. So I think having a little bit less weight allows me to pull off the back wall the same, and lets my pin float be very consistent. If I pull really, really hard, there's no way I could shoot the weight combination that I have comfortably. But yeah, like Robert, he has a bunch up front and a bunch on the back, and Kyle and all sorts of guys run that. So, but they try to pull the cams off the bow.
Yeah, definitely.
So do you change anything? I know you and I've talked, and London's one of your favorite, partly, or I'm sorry, Metropolis, one of your favorite, it's close to the house, but London, what do you make any changes for the lighting there? Like, will you change your peep aperture? Do you do anything differently?
Not really. I'm pretty simple. You know, it's worked in the past. It works at home. So why can't it not work there?
Yeah.
I don't really change a bunch of things like how I see a lot of guys do, but no, I probably won't change much. Maybe up my aperture one size if I have to, but that's probably about it.
Well, I guess if you can't see rings or if you can't see to begin with,
it don't matter anyway.
Have any effect on you.
Well, Brady, so 7 years known pro class, as you mentioned, you've gotten close, gotten second. What's that like then? 7 years in, you finally got your win. I'm imagining that takes a lot of mental fortitude to keep going. Yes. You get close. I'm sure there's a lot of ups and downs. What's that like for you mentally, that 7 years to get here?
Me and my dad's argued a lot over those past 7 years. But yeah, I just don't have much quit in me. I just always want to. I know what I'm capable of doing. I've done some incredible things in practice that would, compete at the highest level in the world. So I know what I'm capable of doing. And whenever I fall just short, it just pushes me to keep going. Like, you're close. Just trust the process. And I always tell myself, God has a plan. I believe in God. I know God has a plan for me. And if I just keep working hard, he'll reward me one day. And that's what happened, I guess. But the work's still going to be there. I'm still going to be working hard every single day to keep this up.
Was there ever a time in that 7 years where you're like, this isn't working out, I'm done with this?
yeah, there's sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'm tired of this crap. I'm not doing it no more. And then like an hour later, I pick up my bow and I'm like, oh, I better get this thing right because I got to go to a shoot next weekend.
I have a feeling Dane would probably have a few words for you if you called him up and said, I'm done, I'm quitting.
Probably.
I don't think he would go for that too well.
So you and your dad had quite a few arguments there. Was your dad encouraging you to hang it up and you were like, I'm going to stick this out? Or were you like, I'm quitting, and your dad was trying to get you to
Who was on which side?
My dad definitely didn't want me to quit. He would never want me to quit, but it's mostly me like, Dad, this thing sucks. I'm not shooting good, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, keep going. And it's like, I don't want to keep going. You know, this thing sucks. I'm not what Kyle can do or Bodie can do. But he's like, son, you've done it for this long. You've proved it to yourself. Just go out there and keep doing what you're supposed to be doing. And it will happen one day. Just trust the process. And that's what I have done.
Awesome.
And got lucky, I guess.
Well, now I want to get your dad on a podcast so we can talk to him about the emotions he was feeling when you won.
It'll be a long one.
Yeah.
What was that like when you got to see your dad?
He wasn't there, correct?
No, he was. He was in the stands. But yeah, when I fired that last arrow and I hit, I could feel it in me. Like my dad just got emotional because this is what we've worked so hard to get to. And yeah, I went around the corner and everybody's high-fiving and hugging and, you know, did the little interview with you guys that were Nathan and PJ with the headset on. And whenever I got done with that, I went to the back and everybody was congratulating me and stuff. And as soon as I saw my dad, like we both started just crying, not crying, but like got emotional. He gave me a hug and I gave him a hug. And it was a very special moment for me. He was actually thinking of not even going to this tournament because it was so far. And he was like, you know what? I might just hang back on this one. And I told him, I said, I've been shooting super good at the house. I said, this will be the one I probably win if you don't go. And he was like, well, if you think you're going to do good, well, I guess I'll make it down. So yeah, that would have been like the first one he has ever really missed ever. So
he doesn't shoot, correct?
Yeah, he shoots.
Oh,
he's in unknown 40. He's not very serious at the moment. He just goes there to, you know, pass the time and see how I shoot. But yeah, it was an emotional moment for me and him. It was something I'll never forget.
I'm sorry we missed that. Braden Jones, who won in Benning Open for the first time in Open Pro, his dad, I see him with him all the time. And that was just cool to see him there. I was like, he came walking in front of me. I said, where were you? I haven't seen you this whole shoot down. He said, I was over on the side trying not to throw up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's good stuff. Well, Brady, was there anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about?
No, sir. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm here to talk about.
On this archery journey, it's cool to hear people's stories, where they come from, how they got there, you know, what the process, the 7 years of grinding, all that stuff. That's just cool to hear somebody's perseverance.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, that is another episode of the Competition Archery Media Podcast. Brady Hempen, first, congratulations on the big win. Second, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Brady.
Thank you too, Josh. Folks, you can find the CAM podcast on all the platforms, wherever you find your favorite podcast. Thanks for being here.